Hey everyone, it's Tim from Linessa Farms, Specialty and Heirloom Livestock. Thanks for joining us again today. We have been getting lots and lots of questions about how many animals can I put on an acre of land or on a half an acre of land. So today we just got done baling some hay, and we're going to use this opportunity to talk to you about how many animals you can run on a very specific area of land. Stay tuned to find out more. All right, so this is one of those videos that you're definitely going to want to watch to the end because it kind of builds on itself, and we have a lot of different information that we're going to talk to you about. So it is Memorial Day weekend here in Northwest Indiana, and what does that mean? Well, that means first cutting hay. We like to think that around Memorial Day we're either cutting hay or baling hay, but this is usually when the first cutting either is just getting cut or getting put up. So usually we have three cuttings, first, second, and third cuttings here with our climate. If you take a look out into the field, you'll see how much we have here. This is a 4-acre parcel, and we expect this is probably going to put up about 20,000 pounds of hay, and hopefully, God willing, we'll get 2 more cuttings off of this. First cutting tends to be a little bit more stemmy, and then the subsequent cuttings get a little softer, a little bit more palatable for the animals, but this wasn't bad at all. Mostly orchard grass, a little bit of clover, and a little bit of alfalfa, and a pretty good hay though. So it is Sunday. We cut this morning. We'll probably have this in round bales probably Tuesday, as long as the weather cooperates with us. So this 4 acres of land this is the ground that we rotational grazed last year. We have 8 acres out here that we do our rotational grazing plan on. So last year this was rotationally grazed. This year it swaps, and then it'll just go back and forth. So last year we baled this that side, this year we baled this side, and we go back and forth. Believe it or not, no fertilizer on this ground whatsoever. This is self-fertilized by all of the animals that rotational graze, and then between cuttings we will actually take our animal manure and we will spread it with our manure spreaders. If you look over there, you can see one of our manure piles that I actually worked up and cleaned up today. We tend to flip it after a certain amount of time has gone by. So if you haven't watched our video on rotational grazing, we have a couple of them. Go ahead and check them out here. We're going to be making some more soon. I know the sound quality on them. We're an ever-evolving channel here, and we take the money that we make and put it back into the video quality for you. So I know the first video is pretty crummy audio. Make sure you have your caption turned on. That way you can hear what it is that I'm saying. So what does rotational grazing and animals per acre have to do with baling? Well, the reason that I wanted to incorporate this with the baling, and the reason that it all works, is because, as I told you, I got 1 cutting here and it's about 20,000 pounds of hay. So you're probably thinking, holy smokes, that's a ton of hay. So that equates to about, well, it's about 5,000 pounds of hay per acre. And you would think, man, you could run a lot of animals on that. But the thing I want you to consider is all of this can change at any point in time. And that's where it gets confusing to individuals when they ask questions like, how many animals can I have on an acre of ground or on a half an acre of ground? My goodness, you know, I don't want to rant and rave about it, but I read and hear so much bad information that's put out online over and over and over. And I got to tell you, if you find someone that tells you you can have this many animals on this much ground, you should probably go the other way, because chances are they don't know what they're talking about. And I say that with confidence, and go there with me here. Think about this logically. What determined me getting this 20,000 pounds of hay? Well, the quality of the ground, the amount of fertilizer, the product that I planted, how much rainfall did I get, what was the outside temperature like. All of these things can change at any time. Not all of them can change at any time, but many of these things can change anytime. I can have really bad weather. I can have a windstorm. I can have a flood. I can have a drought. I can have really, really hot temperatures. I can have really, really cold temperatures. And then you get into how many animals do you plan on having out there and what is their body type? What breed are they? Some breeds eat a ton. Other breeds don't eat at all. Some animals are extremely picky and they don't want to eat a whole lot. Other animals will eat anything that you put out there. So again, I just can't tell you how many animals you can have on a given parcel of land. The answer to this problem is rotational grazing. The beauty of rotational grazing is that any time, well, let's look over here. If you look over here, you'll see my animals that I have out on pasture. They've been here for, I believe, 2.5 weeks, going on 3 weeks. Now, some years they may only be out here for a week and I've got to move them. This year we've had a really great year and they've been out here for 3 weeks and they're only about halfway down. They've only eaten this about halfway down. So, you know, the beauty of rotational grazing is I can move these animals whenever I need to protect the ground. I don't want to put them in a situation where they eat this down to the dirt and damage it. I want to get it to where it's just right. You know, that Goldilocks kind of pasture, I want to get it to where it's just right. And when it gets just right and they've eaten it down enough, then we'll move them down the row. We'll move them down to the next pasture. And then from there, we'll move them down to the next pasture. And then when we're done, we'll move them all the way back up. So instead of focusing on how many animals can I have on an acre of land or half an acre of land, I want you to take your time and effort and I want you to focus it on rotational grazing. This is the tool that will allow you to have the maximum amount of animals on a given parcel of land. The other thing that you absolutely have to have is you have to have a dry lot set up. A dry lot is very, very important. Let's head up to our dry lot area so I can talk to you about that so you can understand it a little bit better. All right, so here we are, and this is a dry lot. We call it a dry lot because there's no vegetation here. What vegetation is here, there's very, very little of. Believe it or not, you know, if you put your animals on a piece of ground, on a pasture or a paddock, they will eventually eat it down to the dirt, and you do not want to do that. You want to get them off of your pasture if need be and get them in a dry lot scenario before they ruin it and eat it down to the dirt like this. In a dry lot scenario, we have feeders that we have to utilize in order to feed our animals. The only animals that go out to rotational graze are actually any animals that have already had babies before that are over a year old. So all the females that are out there, and only females, the only ones that are out there right now are my does and my ewes that have had babies and are over a year old. They are more mature, they can handle being on pasture a little bit better. I like to keep my little ones here on dry lot for their first year of life. It gives them a chance to eat a little bit more, do a little bit better. They tend to grow a little bit more, and I can feed them hay in situations like this with my bunk feeder. I have fans going, it keeps them nice and cool. It's just a little bit more of a controlled environment to help protect them. Now, on my other paddock over here, there's multiple paddocks up here on our farm, but on my other paddock, I've got my males, they're all over there together, my bucks and my rams. Obviously, I want to keep them all separated from my females as much as I can. Again, a little bit of vegetation up here, but very, very little. They rely on me for hay. You absolutely have to have a dry lot set up somewhere on your property. You are not going to get away with just running them all on pasture. At some point, winter is going to set in, you're going to have to get them off the pasture. You may have a drought, you may have a flood, you may have super scorching hot temperatures, all kinds of reasons that you want to have a dry lot. Even in our case, if we know we have like severe thunderstorms or tornado watches or something like that coming in, hail, we will actually pull our animals off a pasture and allow them to come up here to get some protection from the weather. Now you may have noticed, well you probably didn't, but on the rotational grazing side that we're using this year, we actually have a tree line. So I don't have any temporary shelters out there. My animals are able to get up and underneath those trees for protection from rain and for some shade during extremely hot temperatures. Next year when they're back on the south run, I'll actually have to put up some temporary shelters for them because it's just open, there are no trees, and there's nothing for them to get out of the weather. So hopefully by combining our hay and our first cutting with rotational grazing, it helped to answer that question for you, and it helped to make sense as to why someone can't logically, reasonably answer the question of how many animals can I have on a given parcel of land. I am Tim from Linessa Farms, Specialty in Heirloom Livestock. Thanks for joining us again today, and I look forward to seeing you again next time.